It is Saturday night on John's Comics with Kids, which means it's time for the Bearded Comic Bro.
I like that shirt, repping that shirt. I mean,
a little like mint chocolate chip green I went with.
Mm-hmm. And I'm rocking my Batman shirt because we're talking DC movies today. And
I don't know if you noticed my background. I went like full. I mean, I'm DC everywhere. I'm even hiding the Avengers poster by blocking it with my body.
You're all DC. In full DC mode right now.
It's been what we've been watching a bunch at our house, as I'm sure it's been the same at your house.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's typically what we watch at my house anyway.
Just DC.
No, I have a love for DC. Like, that's not unknown to everyone. But I am definitely in the camp of I like the Marvel movies. I like a lot of the bad Marvel movies. So if and when we ever talk about those, I'll be all about it too. So
there we go. Well, I'm going to play our little intro because this is the one I made this darn thing, and it's, I get to use it twice a month. I'm going to use this sucker. So here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Drinks and Movies with your hosts, Bearded Comic Bro and John from John's Comics with Kids. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up for Drinks and Movies.
What? Alex, like, you didn't make one for our show. Hurtful. But he is in the chat. Let's say hello to these homies. I said, hey, what comics he's saying? Best DC movies is a short list.
Ouch. Oh, that's it, guys. Sorry.
It was a great show.
Thanks for tuning in.
Hello to Skip Mulligan, who last night caught us on the Hero and the Kids show and has clearly subscribed, hit that notification bell, and come over and said hello.
Yes.
Much appreciated, man.
Probably one of our few people getting this training in before watching our shows.
Right? I didn't, so I appreciate the motivation. You might hear about Supergirl, but I'm not going to promise anything. I'm not going to promise. PJ King is here. What is up? I know Todd Christian is a huge DC fan, and he is here in the chat. What is up? And we got Chaos in Comics saying power to the people. And I don't know why, but yes, let's have it. All about the power.
We don't know why Chaos is a lot of things.
Nope. Yeah, he's you should know by now White Whale Comics is a asshole. Little joke, little comedy. Travis, what is up,
buddy?
And Jeff Schultz, one love from Chicago. She just says, okay, I'm ready for you to upset me greatly.
He's a glutton for punishment with this show because either I'm going to tick him off or you're going to tick him off with one of the. So he's bound to tonight to just be upset.
and the truth is, like, what show do I make that doesn't cause this reaction?
You're right.
Why would you make a show for a show we don't do anymore? We're still doing it once a month, man. I'm just making it so that we're not like freaking out trying to read everything in like a few hours before we go live. Mother Flurkins, what is up? Doing all DC tonight. The plan is this is part of a 2-episode series. We're looking at DC movies and we're breaking them down into 2 groups because both Greg and I are excited, concerned, hopeful to watch the Snyder Cut in 2 weeks. And we thought, well, what better way than to just go hog wild in the DC universe? And so tonight we're going through all the pre-Snyder DC movies, meaning anything before Man of Steel. And then 2 weeks from now, we'll go through all the rest and hash up the Snyder Cut with you all.
Yeah. So so those of you that want to talk Suicide Squad, I just saw Chaos drop it in the chat. That will be the next episode. We're really focusing on pre-DCEU stuff, pre-Snyderverse. Snyder movie might make the cut still here tonight, but who knows? You never know.
Yeah, we're not. I really feel like it's the main reason I wanted to do the split where we did it is because these films aren't really interconnected versus all those other movies are a shared universe. And so as a result, you kind of have to understand them as a connective piece. For me, a little bit.
Yeah. And it's fun because we did 2 weeks before this, we did our episode of our favorite some of our favorite top non-Marvel, non-DC comic book movies, which I think was just a lot of fun. And so I'm excited to talk about DC because I think, at least for me, that's what got me into loving comic books were DC characters. So I'm here for it.
Yeah. So anything, Jeff Schultz, rollerblading thugs. There you go. Anything, Travis, anything after Man of Steel is going to be for 2 weeks from now. Yep. So take all that Snyder connected universe stuff, Shazam, all of it, Aquaman, all that stuff is going to go somewhere
anything
else.
Like that.
Yeah, Birds of Prey. I mean, technically, all that stuff is connected, shared universe stuff. So all of it kind of goes to the side. We're doing the stuff that's really not connected, except maybe within its own franchise, like the Superman movies with Christopher Reeve, who's right there, my guy. So, we're just talking about those movies as a separate sort of deal. And this is Drinks and Movies. So let's get into what are we drinking tonight, Greg?
So starting off with Columbus brand. Again, I've had it on the show before, Brewdog. A little Elvis Juice, grapefruit infused IPA. And then I will have, as always, I got the nightcap. This is called Legion.
Ooh.
It is a bourbon. The distiller from, I believe, Jim Beam, and then a distillery from Japan. One of the master distillers over in Japan, they kind of merged together to bring an East and West vibe of a bourbon. Nice. So that'll be the little nightcap.
I'm shaking things up tonight. I made a homemade white trash margarita is what I call it. It's just lemonade and tequila, straight basic.
Okay.
I went with Hornitos tequila, which is my favorite tequila. So I got myself a little cocktail for this evening. So cheers to you, Greg, and cheers to you in the chat, folks. So I'm going to go this way. He's over there. Okay. Skip is here again. Thanks for coming by, Skip. It was now 2 nights in a row hanging with you, and we really do appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
So basically, we're talking Batman and the original Superman movies tonight. Basically, yeah. And TJ, yeah, you can not worry. It's 2 weeks from now. We'll get into Snyder stuff, so you're all good. Jackson Roy Kirk is here. Cheers to you, sir, as well.
I do find it cute that Alec really thinks that I'm not going to have hot takes on other DC movies that I think are great. Like,
and I'll have hot takes about them as well. We'll definitely going to have some of that. So let's take a look at the slideshow. Greg, thanks for putting together an awesome slideshow for us.
Yeah, but man, your thumbnail game was on point today. So
I played around a little bit. These are obviously some of the best of the lot, but we're gonna start us off with one section. Obviously, you got to start with the Batman, right? I mean, there are a ton of iterations of this character. And you got your Burt Ward, Adam West stuff. You got your Tim Burton stuff. And then on the far side, way over there, we got Schumacher goodness on the other side. So what are your feelings on these early iterations of Batman?
I mean, these are what got me into Batman. And honestly, it's, as we've talked before, it's the Batman 66 and Batman Forever were the ones that got me into Batman universe. I wasn't allowed to watch Batman or Batman Returns till I was older. I mean, I make the joke, like, my mom and I are the reason that like Batman Returns was the last of Burton's, because like I was the target demographic that wasn't allowed to go see it as an 8-year-old because my mom thought that Penguin was too graphic of a character. Because
it's super freaking creepy. Let's just be honest.
And so she would go and preview the movies before and then decide if I would be allowed to go watch it with her. And she's like, no, he bit a dude's nose off. You can't watch that. I'm like, what? So for me, these are the movies that I've always adored, and going back and watching Batman and Batman Returns are there. And when we were grouping these movies, we really wanted to separate. And we'll talk about Batman and Robin as well, but we wanted to separate Batman and Robin from Batman Forever, because so often people lump Joel Schumacher's those two together. And I think that takes away from what I love about Batman Forever. It's not a perfect movie, but I think too often we get it like, oh, Joel Schumacher ruined Batman. and because we lump in Batman and Robin with it. And so that was kind of why we went in with this not ranking, but grouping, if you will, because we have a bunch of these aren't the only Batman movies we're talking about, but these are the grouping that we wanted to focus on these right now.
I will say, I was just like you, the full target demographic for this as well. And saw I skipped school to see Batman Returns. My best friend and I, his mom was a teacher. She called us out of school, dropped us off at the theater, and we held the spot in line for the 8:00 show to see Batman Returns. Like I was that kid. And we were playing, I don't know what, D&D or something in line, just waiting for the show. So I saw all these in the theater. I was working in a movie theater when Returns came or Forever came out, and I heard Kiss from a Rose like all day, every day. And so, these were definitely my Batman films. I will say I haven't seen this one as much, but I watched the show when I was a kid. Like that, I was super into the show. I don't have a ton of affection for the only one that I truly adore up here on this list is Forever. So that's my hot take, that I actually agree with. I got issues about something. If I was going to rank these, Forever wins, and that's my hot take, as I like Forever rewatchability the most.
Yeah. And I think Batman, the 1966, people throw it away a lot because it's campy, it's what it is. But what it did for bringing Batman back into the pop culture at that time, I mean, it was Batmania through and through. You have, Life magazine, a hit show on ABC when they're doing the, back-to-back shows of will they escape, will they not? And I think so often we get into this now as fans of comics and those, these movies that the campiness of, that's what those comics were in the golden age, until Batman comics, until Neil Adams kind of reinvented Batman, it was the Batman 66. And so if you wanted to read a Batman comic, it lined up with the show. And I think that was because otherwise you're watching the show and then you go to read a comic and it's like a dark take. You're like, wait, this is weird. So it made sense that they lined it up with what was being put out in the comics. And I think, and as a kid, that was my first exposure. My grandparents would record the Batman 66 series on TV, right? And VHS tapes, and I would just watch those on repeat nonstop. But so I love that. I love the cast in that movie and the fact that it was a live action movie with all of those fantastic people.
So many great actors popping up in there, and so many and wonderful. Just the cast of villains were really, really wonderful. Let me say hello quickly we had Gore Vidal in the chat talking about his experiences seeing some of these movies early on. And I missed, where is my man? Kavi is here. What is up, Kavi? Let's see, what was somebody else that I missed? Oh, Todd Christian saying Schumacher actually delved into the psychology of Bruce Wayne. I agree with that comment as well. It lowers a bit every time I rewatch it, though. Ouch. Sad to hear that. List. I love this list of things that John and I agree on. Batman Forever and the end. And I said, wait, come on. Savage Dragon. Yeah, and synth pop. Yeah, 80s synth pop. There we go. You can watch now, again, because we're talking DC movies, a ton of this stuff you can find on the HBO app. Yeah. That's the beauty of the deal with Warner Brothers and HBO right now. You can find all this stuff. So a ton of these things, you can just, if you have that app, you just can watch all this kind of stuff.
Right.
So sorry. Go back to what you were saying there.
No, I think so it leads into a good transition, and Batman 89 and Batman Returns. I thoroughly love these movies too. Batman Forever is still, we're in the same page on this. Batman Forever is up there.
Coach Vic, one of our biggest supporters. Thanks for coming, buddy.
Coach Vic, we have not talked about Shaq. I cannot confirm or deny that we will, but we have not talked about Shaq yet. Okay, I can confirm we will mention Shaq at some point tonight. Yes. That's spoiler alert right there for you, Coach Vic, because you asked.
Mostly just because we're going to talk about the Lakers probably at some point, but that's just. Yeah. So, I mean, here's what I will say about Batman and Batman Returns. And I will be as complimentary as I can be. Tim Burton is a very talented director, and the look of those movies is spectacular. I will also say the music by Danny Elfman is the reason why those movies are highly regarded. Danny Elfman nailed it. And his music is so iconic and so closely tied to Batman. I feel like any other Batman movie struggles to gain the legitimacy because the mood never matches what they were able to create in Batman and Batman Returns. My problem is I think sometimes Tim Burton's inner demons get the better of him, and that it's just all about the grotesqueries. And I just get bored. I get a little bit bored with the grotesqueries that he gets into. And so it's not even like cool gothic. It's just like, let's just be gross. And I'm kind of like, okay, well then I don't really care anymore. It's just distracting. And that's my frustration with those two movies. Also, the fight scenes legitimately suck. And they suck because the actors couldn't move in the bat suit. He does the same kick and punch every time because he can't move in that suit. He can't even like turn his head. He looks like Joan Cusack in all those 80s comedies where she was like, had the neck brace on. He's always like turning like this. You know, he can't, I don't know how he fights crime when he can't even turn his head. So like, I struggle with the action and some of Tim Burton's stuff going on in this, in those two movies. And it takes away a little bit of my joy. Sorry, we got Jay Nunya here. They did use the music in the animated series, and I think that was one of the wisest decisions they made. Yep. Tim Burton has only made 3 good movies. Fight me. I don't want to fight, man. I just want to talk about movies. Jeez, why so aggressive? Hello, Geek Aficionado. Caught the beginning of your show. I'm sorry I missed the rest with TiVo and the gang. Kachung is here. What is up? We're missing some Nas. I don't know about that.
I wanted to save some space, Kachun, okay?
We got Ruben Guzman. Elfman is always a win. And we got, oops, sorry, I missed DK. Hello, Delphia. Good to see you. Is Kazam a DC? Stop with that. No Mandela effect in here right now. Keep your Mandela effect to yourself. Oh, we got a super chat from AMKM. I will say, if there is a saving grace to Batman Returns, it is Michelle Pfeiffer is gorgeous. Yes, that is not in any way in dispute. And I agree.
Well, I mean, you have, people give a lot of grief, I think, to the Joel Schumacher, his characters of being over the top and campy. And I'm like, you've seen Burton's other characters that he's done, like with Michelle Pfeiffer, like her character, it's over the top too. Like, and so is the Penguin and Christopher Walken's character in as Max Schreck. Joker is, Jack Nicholson's Joker is actually the most realistic as not over the top character out of that kind of villain universe, and he's still over the top too. I will say though, they all look like they're having fun doing it, and like that, and I think that's what really is which makes it great. Batman Returns is a movie I watch every Christmas.
I will say my girls aren't ready to watch it yet. I don't want to say traumatized. They were really like horrified by the first Batman movie. Like Batman 89, my girls were like, I don't like this Joker. I don't like this guy's creepy. I don't like this. I don't like anything about this. Yeah. And they were like, done. We're not. But then Batman Forever, they were like, this is freaking amazing. I love this. This is so cool. They love Robin and all that stuff. So they were not ready for Returns at this point.
Yeah, I get that for sure. But what you said about Burton, what he does with the Gotham, I feel like for the most part has always felt like another character. In Burton's in all the Batman movies, except for 66, that's nowhere. I think in Burton's Batman, Schumacher's, I think in the Nolanverse movie, not even really the Nolanverse, because that just feels like Chicago or Pittsburgh. But like those Schumacher and Burton really did a good job of making it feel like a character, you know, and I appreciated that, and I think it made it more enjoyable as well.
I got issues with White Whale's list here because I think Edward Scissorhands is a masterpiece, and I don't want to fight about it though. I just think it's a masterpiece. So sorry.
It's
I would include the add-on. In fact, I would put it head and shoulders above Batman 89, but that's just me. But Elfman's theme ranks above all of it. So there you go.
Yep.
Let's see here. So I guess that's pretty much all I want to say about these movies. Obviously, we could go into a rant on Batman and Robin, but I have a feeling that's going to come up a little bit later.
Let me ask you this, because I see in the chat a lot of people. Yeah, well, I'll go there. A lot of people in the chat are talking about their favorite Batman. Do you have a favorite Batman, and is it separate from your favorite Bruce Wayne?
Oh, that is a phenomenal question. That might be the question of the night. If we're going live action Batman, because obviously,
and I posed that to the chat.
Conroy wins the day, right? I think anyone who can't put Kevin Conroy at the top of a list needs to watch the animated series again, because for me, he is the best Batman I've ever had the pleasure of enjoying in cinema. Beyond him, it gets a little trickier. I do really like Christian Bale, and I know that people couldn't get over his gravelly voice and all that kind of stuff. I really liked him, but of course, he has the benefit of having the best scripts and having the most functional costume. So he can perform in ways that the other actors were really unable to do as much. I don't know that those scripts gave him as much Bruce Wayne time as could have been interesting. I think obviously the chat mentioned how Val Kilmer, he got some chances to really be Bruce. And I think that was really effective. I think Michael Keaton wouldn't rank in either category for me.
Yeah.
I guess that's my hot take.
Because it's always interesting, because people always talk like, who's your favorite Batman? But I think there's a separation about, Bruce Wayne and the betrayal. And I even separate it to two separate Bruce Waynes. I think Michael Keaton plays a great what I imagine Bruce Wayne would be, just an awkward kind of recluse, a little bit of this kind of aloof. But I also feel like Bruce Wayne, when he's out in public, has a different personality than who he really is. And this is going to sound like a hot take, I actually think George Clooney is that playboy billionaire persona, plays that really well. And I don't think that's a true Bruce Wayne, but I think Bruce Wayne is one of those, I have to be this playboy billionaire. And you see it in Bale. You see it in the Bale Nolan verses and stuff. So I think Keaton is probably more of like what I imagine Bruce Wayne to be, this kind of contemplative person. And then I think Clooney was the best playboy billionaire, kind of just because, I mean, it's Clooney who didn't have to act at that at all.
Right.
And
this chat is amazing, by the way. This chat is amazing. Their comments are spot on. I love the variety of comments going on here. And it looks like TJ is in agreement with you on a lot of that stuff. So I do think Val gets underappreciated in a big way. And I think that's a statement I considering, like, people were like, blonde Bruce Wayne, what the heck is happening on there? They're derailed. We're not going to talk about animated films, but I would say for me, PJ, because Mask of the Phantasm beats everything. Like you just move everything off the list at that point.
Yeah, we thought about it. I mean, it definitely would. If we were talking about best Batman movies, it would be up here because Mask of the Phantasm was fantastic. Hey, I keep an open mind until I see the movie. That's kind of my best, the best I can offer, Jennifer. We'll see. I know plenty of people couldn't stand Christian Bale, and I totally understand. I just was into it. It worked for me. Yeah. It fit certainly what Nolan was trying to do. But we got to move on. We need another slide. Yep. Let's get into what I would argue is still, for my money, the greatest comic book movie. I'm a
big fan of Superman the movie. I know that the effects for a green screen and you know, technically what they did was rear projection have aged. Every moment Christopher Reeve is on screen in these movies, hashtag he's my Superman. Like he just exudes, whether he's Clark or whether he's Kal-El, he is my Superman, period. And I couldn't say it better than Lasso, who said he made a believe a man could fly. Like, just an absolute perfect bit of casting, which they tried everybody out in the world, including the director's dentist, for this part. And like, yeah, he is it. Well,
and that's why I was hesitant about asking the Batman question right here, because it comes up for me I was going to save it possibly for Superman, because where I think you have that debate with, for me, where I'm like, I would pull this for Bruce Wayne, I pulled this for Batman, this is Clark Kent, this is Superman through and through. Like, I can appreciate Henry Cavill for what he does and what he brings to the table. This is the perfect representation of someone who plays Clark Kent and is Clark Kent.
Yeah.
But then plays Superman. And I mean, look at that.
Yeah. What White Whale? Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, look at
him
that
in the costume.
Yeah.
Which is a complete variation on the costume we would use today. I mean, it's still fabric, and you can see the wrinkles and the way it binds on him. But you look at like what the actors wear today, which is basically all, you know, elements of plastic wetsuit kind of stuff. So you never see the wrinkles and the binds or whatever. You see his pit stains and stuff. Like it's hilarious the distance that the costumes have come since then. But for me, yeah. I mean, yeah, top to bottom, and I like Henry Cavill. I mean, he is The Witcher, period. He's amazing on that show, The Witcher. Love him. He's a super talented guy, and he gives a really decent performance as Kal-El and Clark Kent. But he's always going to be in the shadow of this gentleman.
But again, we didn't get to see Cavill's Clark Kent very much. You know, like the portrayal of like that you get to see in Superman in this version a little bit more. So I'd be curious to see that. But I mean, he just plays the embodiment. And I will say what's really cool, like you said, you don't get the suit like this for a while. I'm sure you haven't watched the Superman Lois show that they just.
No, I've cut the cable, so I can't see it yet.
So, and there's no spoiler or anything, but the first episode of Superman, the first time we see Superman in that series, he's in a suit like this, and I remember doing a double take, like, what is he wearing? And he's like, oh, don't mind the suit, my mom made it for me. It's just like the most like adorable moment right there, because you're like, oh, but that's because to me it was paying tribute to Christopher Reeve's suit.
Absolutely.
And then the next time you saw Superman, you saw it in the more modern day rubberized.
Right, exactly.
But you're talking about, I think the effects, at least of Superman, the first Superman, hold up. The budget,
way better than the sequels, for sure.
Yeah. Well, they also had the budget. I was looking at the budget between this was $55 million for Superman.
Which in 1978 or whatever.
By the time Superman 4, Quest for Peace, was 17 million. Like, so, because I was like, how is it so bad? Because literally, if you go back and just watch the trailers, watch the trailer for Superman and watch the trailer for Quest of Peace, it literally is a major motion picture to a B-list movie. Absolutely. And it's through and through. So again, that's why we're separating. When you're talking Christopher Reeve's Superman, we're talking Superman and Superman 2. And right. I think that's what's so funny. People can separate. People ignore 3 and 4. Some people like 3, but everyone ignores 4. But these are the 2. And
I mean, admittedly, like the and I think TJ mentioned the story behind the like journey to make this movie is almost as interesting as the film itself. You know, the fact that basically they were trying to fire Richard Donner like the whole time. And he was dealing with Marlon Brando, who was like, hey, what if I just wasn't on screen? You just heard my voice, because I'd rather just eat sandwiches and sit in my trailer all day. Like, Brando was a pain in the butt. He had to convince Gene Hackman to shave his mustache off to play Luthor, because Hackman was like, no, I'm going to do it with a mustache. Like, I don't want to shave my mustache. And he had to come up. I don't know if you heard. I think I told you that story, right? The elaborate lie to get Hackman to shave his mustache off. Okay, so Donner meets with Hackman, and he knows that Hackman's already like, I don't really want to shave my mustache. And he grows his own mustache, right? So he's got a mustache to talk with Hackman about it. He's like, hey, here's the deal. We'll show up on the first day. If you really feel confident about it, like whatever, like I'll shave mine and you can shave. We'll shave together, right? And then he meets with Hackman on the day, and Hackman's like, I still want to keep it. And he's like, okay, well, let's shave together. Hackman goes and shaves and comes back, and he's like, all right, your turn. And he peels off a fake mustache that he's been wearing for months whenever he meets Hackman. So Donner had to like go out of his way to trick Gene Hackman into shaving his mustache just to get him to be looking like Luthor. Like nobody wanted to do their he didn't want to shave his head, of course, so they had to have him wear wigs, like have the prop wigs in Luthor's cave or whatever. So many little hurdles in the way. And then they were trying to shoot both movies at the same time, 1 and 2. And in the end, it was such a cluster that they moved all the best stuff into Superman 1, fired him, brought in the Lester to finish Superman 2 with the scraps that were left over and to try to make a movie out of what was left.
I mean, this was the original Snyder cut. You had the Donner, like they came out with the Donner cut.
They did. And I've never watched the Donner cut. Is it any good? I thought it was a lot of like storyboards and stuff.
I feel like I watch the Donner cut more often than the regular Superman 2. I could be mistaken, but
okay. I know that there was a DVD release of the Donner cut, but I never got around to watching it. Tim Daly, that's a good. Hey, shout out to Tim Daly for sure.
Was it because he voiced the
animated voice? Yeah, and exactly.
Wasn't he on Wings?
He was, yeah. So people have seen the Donner cut. Let me know. I know. Is it a lot of? I thought it was a lot of storyboards because obviously they didn't shoot all of it.
Yeah, I forget. I feel like that's mostly the version I watch. That scene in the first Superman where Lois is hanging off the building.
Oh my! With the helicopter, yeah.
And
so good.
You put that up there as one of my favorite favorite movie moments ever, but easily one of my top favorite comic book movie moments.
Yeah. And that guy was like, man, that's a bad outfit. He's like, pew, he flies off.
And he's carrying her, and he's like, don't worry, I've got you.
He runs to and the joke of the telephone booths doesn't fly anymore because people are like, what's a telephone booth? But like this, I'd tell my girls about how, Superman in the older shows used to go into a telephone booth and come out as Superman. Like now it's like, no. So he runs up to the little half telephone booth and it's like, well, I can't change in there. And he has to go into the revolving door. Like what a great moment that now doesn't play anymore. Hey, Perry is here. What is up, Perry? Those who are just joining us, we're not talking about Henry Cavill. We're just getting into the pre-Snyder DC movies. We did a little bit with Tim Burton's Batman and Schumacher's Batman, and now we're over with Christopher Reeve here.
So, John, everyone's saying Donner cut. You got to go see it. So
there you go. So as far as I know, it was just a DVD. I don't know. I don't know if it's on the HBO app. I should go and look for that.
It is. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm going to confirm it right now. So keep talking.
Okay, we'll keep talking.
For Superman 2.
I watched the original Superman a bunch with my girls, and now we just recently finished watching Superman 2 with my girls, and they distinctly did not like Superman 2. Kate kept making fun of how ridiculous the plot was. Like, Kate's thing was like, he's giving up his powers for Lois Lane after like one date of telling he's told her for 1 hour that he's Superman, and he's already ready to throw away all his powers and jump into the little crystal chamber. Kate's like, bad move, Soups. What are you doing?
Love will do that to you. So it is just a regular version, but you can definitely get the Donner cut. So
okay, I'll have to go look for it then, I guess. Great line. You've got me, but who's got you?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, trust me, Superman 2 is not a perfect movie by any means. But this was, I appreciated too the villains that we had. The introduction of the Phantom Zone. You have basically the equals to Superman.
Right. And I love Terrence Stamp.
So good. So good.
Yeah. Planet Houston. Yeah, it's not on par with Superman 1 at all. But there's enough like threads holding these movies together that it still feels strongly connected versus, like you're saying, Geek Aficionado, 3 and 4 were just like derailed. And I don't know what you're counting as 5. Probably you're counting The Return, but yeah. Let's keep moving though. I feel like we need to keep. We got a lot of slides to get through here tonight.
We do.
So
actually, we're about halfway through our slides.
Oh, are we? So maybe we're right on. We're right on.
No,
base.
we there's probably 4 more slides, and we got 4 more categories.
So yeah, let's move on to Nolanverse. We got one more round of Batman to do tonight.
Man, this was a good time to be alive when you were a Batman fan. Like, I get to appreciate, this is like watching some, teens or college age kids, like their experiences with the MCU, getting to see like an awesomeness. Like for me, like, I mean, the marketing campaign for Dark Knight was one of the best viral campaigns
Buck wild
ever. And I mean, if you guys don't remember, they had websites, they had Gotham City news sites, they sent out ballots during the election for Harvey Dent stuff. Comic-Con, they were passing out Jokerized dollar bills.
Yeah.
And people were like, what is this? And just randomly putting Joker playing cards in comic shops. Like, it was one of the best campaigns ever. And like, I visually remember that. And this is one of my favorite trilogies out there. We can talk about the issues that there are with Dark Knight Rises, but man, it's one of my favorite trilogies. And I think this is a great Batman series.
And I will say I'm somewhere in the middle on it. Like, I really do love portions of Batman Begins, like a bunch. And I think that there's a really great movie in there that I would give an 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. Like, it's really good. Dark Knight is obviously a home run. It works on so many levels. And then I feel like the wheels come off. The wheels come off for me in a big way with Dark Knight Rises. I have so many quibbles with it. He breaks his back and learns to walk again because a guy hangs him from the whole breaking the bat and coming back later and not having any cartilage in his knee, but now he's like a kung fu expert by the end and he's fine with it. Like, there's so many layers to this that I don't get. And for me, the biggest problem in Dark Knight Rises is that for the first time, they kind of resorted to a shitty nuclear bomb device as their main plot function, which I was like, come on, you're Nolan, you're better than this. Like, the whole movie was revolving around the bomb was a massive story fail for me and just drags the second half of the movie down so bad. So everything that I love about the first half of Dark Knight Rises just derails. And because I love Bane, I love the buildup of Bane. I love the like plane heist. I love the battle in the sewers. He is super creepy, and then all of a sudden he's just a puppy, and it's like, what happened? Like, for me, the last half of Dark Knight Rises just blows it. So, which is a disappointment, because it's like, if you look at it as a trilogy, you don't want the wheels to come off at the end, and that's when it did for me. So what I act like it doesn't exist. That's the truth of it. I just act like that third movie doesn't exist, and I'm a much happier fan, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I can't separate that, because I do appreciate aspects of the third one. I appreciate them tying it together back to Ra's al Ghul.
Right.
So I like those elements up there. I do feel like, Ledger's departure swayed the storyline a little bit, but that shouldn't be an excuse for them. So I don't want to, I know people use that like, oh, well, it would have been a different story. Well, you're still freaking Christopher Nolan. You still could put together. I think you're right. The Dark Knight Rises leading up to Batman, the infamous scene from, where they wanted that Nightfall scene from the 90s comics, break him over the knee. They didn't know where to take it after that.
Yeah.
How to do it. And I, with the whole introduction of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, trying to go down that route of, are they going to do some type of, Arkham, Arkham Knight style of the, or the Jean Paul Valley Batman coming in for, Azrael. Right. And I'm not saying they should have gone that route. Please don't hear me on that. But they wanted that scene. I felt like they wanted that scene in because they had Bane and they were trying to make Bane such a departure from the Bane that we had in
everything else up to then, basically.
Right. Because Bane, when he's portrayed, is a great character who's smart and is, and that you got those aspects of what he was doing with, taking over the city,
right?
And aspects like that. But then you're right. The third act, they turn him into a puppy who's a puppet, and it's like, no, you're ruining a good Bane again, like by not making him to be the mastermind that he could be.
Yeah. I mean, TJ, I basically agree with where you are on this. It's kind of where I am on the whole thing. And I'm going to get into what I love about them here in just a second, but there's so many awesome people in the chat. I just wanted to say, hey, TJ says, I know this is a DC show, but it is relevant to say that the success of the MCU set a higher standard for comic properties. I think viewing any older superhero product is hurt by that comparison. And I would fully agree with that. But I would also say these films elevated, I think, what people thought you could do with a superhero property as well. I think coming into these films, superhero movies looked very different. And I think coming out, honestly, I think Winter Soldier is great because of the things that were laid out here. The style and the realities that they created, I thought were really copied over in some ways. The practical effects and stunts, very influential. I totally agree. Let's see here. It keeps jumping on me. So Thundercat. You guys talking about Thundercats in there? I think Gore is spot on. Obviously, Dark Knight and Superman, the movie, are iconic and belong way up there. Logan and Winter Soldier, totally. I agree with that. That's a great foursome. I totally agree with that. I think. Let's see here. I want to get into that Bane's motivations for his love. And I want to get into so there's two things that I think Nolan verse worked really well for me. Number one is grounding Batman, getting away from the stylistic elements that Burton and Schumacher had done, right? Burton wanted an epic Gothic style. Yep. Schumacher wanted a fun pop, not animated, Burt Ward, Adam West's TV show style. And I think Nolan wanted realism, and he wanted that long Halloween, gangsters are the crime, organized crime is the real villain kind of thing. And as a result, I think he made some of the best iterations of these characters. He took Bane, a stupid luchador bad guy, like he's a freaking wrestler. It makes no sense. And he made him threatening and scary. He took Joker, which before this, even Jack Nicholson's version was very campy and silly, and made a truly threatening villain. And I think he did the same for Scarecrow in Batman Begins. I think he made some absolutely nightmarish iterations of these villains. And I like that. And I love the practical effects of actually crashing the cars, flipping the things. The amount of practical stunts and effects, the visual look, I think is spectacular. And those are my favorite things about the Nolan verse.
how many people, I don't even remember what movie it was attached to, but how many people went to go see that movie in IMAX to just see the 10-minute intro of Dark Knight around Christmas time when they released that? I forget what movie they tied it to, but that opening scene in Dark Knight, and I'll even put Dark Knight Rises, you mentioned the plane scene. Those opening scenes are where I'm like, yeah, this is what Nolan does really well. He takes, and then, you know, he, like you said, he took characters, he grounded them in the real world. I made the reference of it's Pittsburgh and it's Chicago. Like, you're driving like, oh, this is for what he was wanting it to be in that realm.
When he flips that semi in the middle of Dark Knight and like end over freaking end, like that is nuts. And yeah, totally agree, Jimmy. Seeing it in IMAX and seeing that trailer flip, I was like, this is nuts. I love this.
Yep. It's
that whole truck chase is just freaking awesome.
My biggest, Dark Knight is one of my favorite films in Batman world, and it's really not a Batman film. It's more it's more of a Joker film. But I think I started, and I feel like people are going to disagree, but I think we probably saw where the wheels were going to start to fall off a little bit with Dark Knight Rises is when how they introduced Two-Face at the end of Dark Knight. I felt it was rushed, and I felt like they pushed that too much, and that if they wanted Two-Face to show up, they should have brought Harvey Dent into the first movie,
or killed him in the next one.
Yes, or done it because Aaron Eckhart's portrayal of Harvey Dent was great. As soon as he went to Two-Face, I did not like it. And I feel like they rushed that story arc way too fast. And so I don't, even to just have him in like they did with Billy D. Williams of, in Batman 89, where we're going to get there. And then he didn't get to play it. I know they probably didn't want that, but
I will agree that they rushed the ending of the Two-Face story arc. Yeah. I loved him as Two-Face. I thought he was great. I loved the look. I loved his mannerisms. I loved his attitude. I know they wanted to set up the resolution of this lie, and that was going to be the big tool. And I think that was just a bad decision overall. And I think it would have been more interesting to have Two-Face be the big bad in Dark Knight Rises, and to have him basically become the new organized crime, if you will, the new faces of organized crime in Gotham.
And I think, I would have liked to see that, and
totally agree, PJ.
Incorporate that with, having Joker into that realm, and
And I think that's what they wanted, but obviously Heath Ledger's death changed a lot of things.
And I could be wrong. I remember reading, because we're talking about Two-Face and the makeup and stuff, that was one of Nolan's few things that was CGI'd, because he did not want to have makeup, because his mindset was no matter how much makeup you have on, you're adding to his face. And
he wanted to subtract.
He wanted it to be subtracted because it was burned away.
Exactly.
And I thought that was really cool. I don't know how much there's truth to that or what it was, but I thought
I've heard some of the same as well.
Yeah.
And I like Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, I don't think he was a perfect casting for that part in Forever, but I like him just fine. I love that character. I will say Two-Face is my favorite Batman villain, but it's mostly because of the arc that character goes through and the relationship that character has to Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
That the Bruce Wayne connection, and then the villain connection as the Two-Face and he represents basically the same two parts of Bruce that we're dealing with. And so I would have loved a little bit more. I think it's one of the few times, it's one of the many times I should say, that I think Batman movies screw up because they kill their villains, and it's kind of always been the way. And I don't know why they need to do that, but it's just kind of the way. Yep. Should we move out of Nolan verse here?
I think we can.
All right, cool. So let's see what's up next. Yeah, and I know the chat has brought up Superman Returns already. I feel like we should dive real quickly into that one, and then we can get into Constantine and the Vertigo Swamp Thing, Constantine stuff. I hate Superman Returns. I'm sorry. I think that movie is just an absolute screw up. I love that they tried to tie it to the Christopher Reeve universe and tie it all in. Kevin Spacey was bad casting, in my opinion. I just don't like him in that part. I think Kate Bosworth is bad casting. I don't like her in that part. And I think the story is nonsense. What is Luthor doing? Raising Krypton out of the ocean, destroying our planet completely, and Superman's got a kid now. Like, I don't want any of this story. It is just, I don't like this movie.
I don't think I have a disdain for it as much as you do. I enjoyed Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor in this. I thought he brought a good. Kevin Spacey plays a great bad guy, and probably is one of the things is that we're looking at is we're starting to realize that Kevin Spacey is a bad guy, so he doesn't
in real life. Sure, yeah.
So, because my favorite roles are him as a bad guy in movies.
I love plenty of Kevin Spacey movies. Like, I'm obviously I'm a film noir guy, so Usual Suspects is always like right near the top of my favorite movies.
Yeah, but his best roles, he's a bad guy. Usual Suspects, 7.
Yeah, 7.
What was the movie where he's the president or TV show in Netflix? Like
House of Cards, yeah.
House of Cards. Like, he plays a good bad guy.
I'm glad I didn't do a spit take across my computer there.
I love that scene where he's cool and collective on the boat, and then he like just screams,
loses his shit. Yeah,
and I'm like, yes, I really dug it. The storyline is garbage. I get that. I didn't like the plot. I also thought there are holes of, in Superman, the first one of him flying around circling the Earth, but I didn't want to harp on that because I always harp on that when we talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, the Reeve films have their holes, absolutely. Yeah. Plot holes galore. Why he loses his power, Mom says, "You're not going to get this power back," and within like 10 minutes in the story, he's got his power back.
I agree with you on the Kate Bosworth. I didn't like her. They wanted they were trying to bring that, like you said, though, the Christopher Reeves, they wanted to basically do what everyone else did and forget that 3 and 4 ever happened. And, they brought in the sound, they brought in the elements to kind of raise it. I will say this. It is a beautifully shot movie, in my opinion. It's not a great movie.
It looks great. Yeah, I agree.
Great. And I didn't despise Brandon Roth's portrayal of Superman in here, but I think the script hurt him. And also it hurt that this was released the same summer as Batman Begins. I know that I'm almost positive. I could be wrong, but
they were definitely close. Yeah.
I'm almost positive it was the same summer because I felt like DC was like, we're going to hit you with our powerhouse 1-2s, and it just didn't hold up to what Batman Begins did for me. So
absolutely, I totally agree.
And that, I'm sorry, but that shot of the scene where they're shooting the bullet and it goes into his eyes, that's cheesy.
It's just unnecessary. I felt like they were trying to do too much in this movie. I think it suffers from some of the same things that Man of Steel suffers from, where they're just trying to make a Superman movie that it has to be about like world-ending stuff. Like the main plot of what Luthor's trying to accomplish is stupid and nonsensical. And Luthor is far more intelligent to realize that, like, I'm going to destroy the planet I want to rule. Like, he's not going to do this. This is just ludicrous. And for me, it's the big issue with Man of Steel that I had is that, like, basically they destroyed the world in Man of Steel. Like, you look at how much destruction they rained down. They destroyed the world in that movie. And they basically did the same thing. There's far too much collateral damage for me in these movies. And I think you can tell a Superman story better with emotional responses to things and smaller moments, which I loved about the Superman movie, where it's like it's not the world is not getting destroyed at the end. Like I feel like they try to take it too big sometimes with these movies.
Yeah.
And I like Brandon Routh is a talented guy, and he fills the suit just fine. But he wouldn't rank in my top 3, I don't think. That's just my Superman preference. Reeve is number 1, so just put him aside. And then it's Cavill and it's what's his name from the Lois and Clark, the Superman.
Dean Cain.
I think I loved that show as a kid. He would rank high, and I like Smallville too. I like the kid in Smallville. He's not a kid anymore, but so all those guys.
That's one of my favorite portrayals of Luthor. Michael Rosenberg.
I like Michael Rosenberg a lot. I think all those guys would rank above Routh for me, but again, Routh got the worst script.
Yep.
That's just me.
Yep.
So let's do some Vertigo talk here, because I had never read a Swamp Thing comic until the last month, but I have seen both of these movies when I was a younger guy, because I was like, cool, comic book movies. And these just felt like bad Roger Corman movies to me, like just B Roger Corman movies. But I was never a Swamp Thing fan. So did you have a Swamp Thing love? Were you not a Swamp Thing?
Not for these movies. I had I grew up, and it was only one season, the TV show, the animated, it was like 1991 or something, Swamp Thing animated show. I grew up watching that, and I thought it was fantastic. This was because the first one was done by Wes Craven, right?
Sure. Yeah, I'll double check. You can keep talking. I'll double check.
So what's interesting is these two movies are the most biggest departure of like, this is like the pendulum swing from like what they did with Burton to Schumacher of the Batmans. Okay. They went with the first one is straight up horror. Yeah. So Todd's saying it's Wes Craven. They went straight up horror to then, if you just watch these two trailers, if you've never seen them, you have a Wes Craven trailer of straight horror to then boom. It looks like a Lloyd Kaufman, a trauma movie, like for the Return of Swamp Thing of where
Heather Locklear, yeah,
cheesy comedy. It looks like the Toxic Avenger, but it looks like a trauma room.
I mean, yeah, Adrienne Barbeau. I mean, come on, she's amazing for many reasons. I can think of.
I feel like I've seen them both at one point, so I couldn't say like I don't want to talk about those because that's why they're kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them when I was a kid, and I saw them a couple of times. The original obviously is far better, and I was an Escape from New York fan, so Adrienne was my jam. She's just great. She's tough. She's cool, and she's gorgeous. She like checks all the boxes for me. And Heather Locklear is a babe, so I had to see the second one. Right. Swamp Thing, Tromaville. I mean, let's be honest. And I wish. I feel like they got such lack of love because I think people felt like these were properties that couldn't ever be successful, which is a shame because clearly writing talent, the Bernie Wrightson, Alan Moore, they clearly is power there. And I think story that is meaningful there. I just feel like they were not just like, I mean, when you say something's a B movie, that's one step down, and I feel like there's more steps here on this ladder. There's like this is a D level movie for me, and it's a shame. Now I will say makeup effects are really cool.
Yeah,
I think they do a fun job with the makeup effects. And yes, Snake Plissken is awesome. Geek Aficionado's leaving. Jimmy. Have a good night, man. If you guys haven't subbed Geek Aficionado, you should search him out and do that. He's been doing some great shows despite the fact that he had me on his channel once. So yeah, I mean, I think these movies had a chance. They're not on the same level. They're not on the same level of the comics or surrounding comic book films. Technically, yeah, Coach Vic, Swamp Thing is a horror universe. There's definitely a lot of love for like Frankenstein mythos, Dracula mythos, Creature from the Black Lagoon, things like that. There's a lot of love for that built into the style of it. And I've not seen the TV series that DC did because I didn't have the app at the time that it came out, and then it was already canceled, so it never made the top of my list at that point. Let's see. Carlito Classico is here. How you doing, my man?
Welcome,
he was talking
Carlito.
about Tenet, a movie that I hear he kind of likes, over on JoJo Flicks and Comics tonight.
I heard he's actually changing his channel name to just Tenet.
Carlito Classico loves Tenet. There you go. I'm down with that. What's most jarring about Swamp Thing is how different it is compared to Moore's take of the character in the comics. The film was made in 82 and Moore started in 84. There you go. That explains some of it too, because I read the first volume of Alan Moore's Saga of the Swamp Thing, which is great, and I recommend it for anybody who's never tried Swamp Thing before. Alan Moore's first volume starts, I think, at issue like 20, because Wrightson had done up to like issue 20. And he had to wrap up that story arc and then start his own direction for the character. And he made some radical choices for the character that were really interesting. So that explains why this is not connected to that.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Yep.
TJ says Constantine was really fun. TV series was better. And I've never watched the TV series, but I would love to see Keanu Reeves play him again. Okay. I would love. Do you want to get into Constantine? Have you seen it?
So I actually don't. We can talk about. This is one of the few DC movies I haven't gotten a chance to watch. I did watch the TV series, so that's why again when I was making this, I didn't remember too much of Swamp Thing or Return of Swamp Thing, and I knew I hadn't seen Constantine the movie, so I was like, I can't put them into any category because I don't feel. And so I don't fit in any category.
Have you read any Hellblazer or Constantine books?
So my experience with Constantine has been as of late, I read the Justice League Dark series that he was a main character in with Detective Chimp, and
he's been in Deceased a bunch as well.
And he was in Deceased a bunch with all of that. So I'm familiar with it. And then I said, I saw the TV show. That was I feel like the film is decent, and I love some of the portrayals of the characters. I feel like I think it's a radical choice, in my opinion, to make him American, and there's several reasons for me. But chief among them is he feels so connected to British culture. So connected to this idea of being fed up, being ruled by a royal, and his character is basically being manipulated by gods, much like British citizenry over so many generations, right? Hundreds and hundreds of years. I feel like there's something strongly British about John Constantine. And I feel like as much as I like Keanu's portrayal, and Keanu does not blow it or anything, I feel like they robbed John Constantine of some of who he is by making him American. It cheapens him. Have you seen the TV show?
I have not.
Because I feel like from what you're just saying there, the actor who plays on the TV show does a better representation of that then.
Right. Okay. So, I've read some Hellblazer. In fact, I was shocked. I went through my trades a few months back, and I found that I had like 3 trades of Hellblazer, and I've tried to read it a couple of times. It's a very dense read, and some of them I've really enjoyed, and some of them I've been really frustrated with. And I think he's an interesting character, and as true to the character as they are here, it feels like a B movie version of the character, and it's like it felt like the Crow compared to the Crow comic.
Okay.
And in that way, it had nuggets of what made it strong, but just couldn't capitalize enough on it.
There it is, Matt Ryan. I couldn't think of the actor's name.
There you go. So, and it sounds like the chat is a little split. Some of them really loving the movie, some of them hating it, some of them loving the version in the TV series, some not seeing it or not caring for it as much.
Well, and I think that's everything we've talked about. I feel like the chat's been split tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Superman Returns Even
Right.
the Superman movies, you know,
Right.
there's two a good one. The Batman movies. So that's what it is. Is like the same thing with comics. I think comics are they split you. You either like it or you don't, or they don't represent your character well. And, you know, and that's like your beef with the Constantine movie. It's not the character that, you know, you feel like it should be like. And I think this is the truest form when we get so much source material of these characters that we have our versions that we like. This is what we want, and this is what I like, and it just makes it. That's why I think you have us comic nerds are the most argumentative bunch of this is best.
We're hard to satisfy. I mean, let's be honest with that. But I also do strongly think they did a great job in this Constantine movie of not only the look of it and some of the special effects, but the like supporting cast. I really like Tilda Swinton as Gabriel. I dig. Gavin Rossdale. What an odd choice as Balthazar. I dig. Peter Stormare as for those who don't know, he's the guy who puts Steve Buscemi in The Wood Chipper and Fargo. Great as Lucifer. I like Jaimin Hunsu as Midnight. Like there's so many great casting elements around Keanu that I love. I just wish they could have just gone full Britain with this. But of course, finding a British actor of the right age to play the part who was a bankable name, that's a challenge for a studio and a production company. I just would have loved it if they'd done it a service to the character in that way, or forced Keanu. I mean, Keanu's not a horrible actor. Can he do a British accent? Give him a shot. Whoa. I don't know.
Could be.
There's some people railing on in here in the chat. They like the show. Constantine was like a Blade film, but Blade did its job. All right, there you go. Gore Vidal says, Vertigo's Hellblazer is tragic, grim, and sad. In other words, it's great. It's indeed very British and punk. Great writers. Yeah, I mean, and I've read several iterations, and it's classically Vertigo in that it's like dark, full of swearing, and super creepy and depressing. So, I mean, I didn't connect to John Constantine the way I connect to other Vertigo books.
Right.
Agree to strongly disagree. I've been wanting a second Constantine movie for 10 years. No loyalty to the comics version, but love Matt's portrayal. Okay, there you go. Let's see. Did I miss anybody? Fish Tropic is here. How you doing, Fish Tropic? Good to see you, man. Keanu did a British accent in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Not good. Okay, there you go, Fable. Much appreciated. Ooh, Mickey Rourke from Angel Heart would have made a great John Constantine. That's a hot take. But Angel Heart is a good movie. Are you feeling good about these? Should we skip to the next?
I'm feeling good because I know we've got 2 slides left that I feel like we can talk about a lot. Good or bad? So, we got to have an Are They category.
We do Are They categories every time. Are these DC movies, and obviously Watchmen is now like fully tied into the DC and comic books. But I will say this slide probably holds, I mean, I will say holds 2 of my favorite comic book movies because I'm a big V for Vendetta fan. I think V for Vendetta is a phenomenal movie. Great adaptation. I also think Watchmen is an underappreciated adaptation of that material and about as good a movie you're going to make from that as possible. I enjoy Red. I think it's a kick in the pants. And I finally got around to watching Losers this last week, and I enjoy that one too.
It's fun.
He just says no. Just no. I don't know what he's saying no about, but he just
probably Are They DC movies? Maybe.
They're not DC movies. There you go.
Because isn't it like, I mean, there's definitely depends on who you ask. And so that's kind of why we Watchmen, I feel like you said, you can't say it's not now.
Coach Vic, this is the film Watchmen by Zack Snyder. There's a TV series by Damon Lindelof on HBO, but this is the film, which is, better than the movie is the show. But this is the film version that Zack Snyder made. So yes, this is the movie. It was a movie before he adapted the comic versus Damon Lindelof, who did like a sort of a sequel show to the comic.
I like all 4 of these movies a lot. They're all uniquely different. Losers, I just rewatched because I was like, Chris Evans.
What a cast, though, right? Idris Elba,
Jeffrey Dean
Morgan, Zoe Saldana.
What's his name?
What's
the bad guy's name? He was in the movie Narc that we talked about on our drug episode. Jason Patrick.
Jason Patrick, yeah.
And then his main bad guy henchman is the main character in the Netflix show Mindhunters. He's one of the main FBI guys in that.
Okay.
Along with what's his face who plays King George in Hamilton.
But it's just it's a simple fun movie, and actors who get to really look like they're having a great time.
Yep.
Big Will says V for Vendetta was good but not great. That's the hottest take I think I've heard tonight. Watchmen was near perfect. There's another interesting take. Red he liked. Never seen Losers. I would recommend it if you've got HBO. These are all on there. They're definitely worth going and taking a look at. I was very pleasantly surprised with Losers.
Yeah, it allowed them to go with that a lot. Like this is, there you go. Todd put a great. There you
this
go.
One right
here. Yeah,
Watchmen is definitely a DC movie. The Losers are an old DC property that what reimagined. V for Vendetta is debatable because its origin at Warrior. Not sure about Red. Yeah, and some of these have become acquired as DC has purchased other companies and has evolved. I would say legitimately Watchmen is the only one that has been fully integrated into DC Comics, top to bottom.
Well, I mean, you can see Losers on HBO Max, so that's almost I guarantee that's DC then because it's in that line.
Skip says, I feel like I've been able to keep up and follow along much better with this topic right off the bat. Catch up on Hero and the Kid podcast and be able to follow along better. Hey, we try to talk movies every couple of weeks here, Greg and I. Not always comic book movies. Usually it's not comic book movies.
This is
it's just been this month we're getting ready for Zack Snyder's Justice League, and we thought we would sort of kick it off with some fun DC talk. But usually we're just talking movies Saturday nights.
Yeah. So yeah, it's every other, but no, Skip came over. He found us over on Hero and the Kid last night, trying to catch up with us on comics. And so we're glad that you're here hanging out, talking about movies with us. I love the Watchmen movie. Again, we got Jeffrey Dean in here.
He shows up a bunch in these DC universe connected stuff. Obviously he's Thomas Wayne. He's in Watchmen. He's in Losers. I feel like he, if we threw him in as, obviously Walking Dead, like he's got a lot of comic book cred.
Yeah, and V for Vendetta, I really enjoy it as well. And man, the cast of Red, it's a who's who of Bruce Willis, Helen Mirren, Morgan Freeman, John
Malkovich. Sorry,
John Malkovich. I'm like,
yeah. So let's see here. I agree, Kachung. The I will just firstly say this: Zack Snyder makes some of the best trailers in movies, and the trailer for Watchmen, the trailer for 300, like he has made some trailer. Like the trailers for Man of Steel, the original, like I still want them to go back and make those trailers into movies and not make the Man of Steel movie, but we'll deal with that another time. And that Smashing Pumpkins needle drop was like, yes, you have nailed this. You okay over there? You look like you're
I'm reading some of the comments in the chat. And
TJ says General Zod from Superman, V, and the bad guy from Iron Man were in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. It is amazing. I agree. I love Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I'm a big fan. That's a good movie. Have you guys tried Red V though? Red sucks when compared to Mr. Glass. Ooh, hot take. Skip saying before everyone leaves, off topic, sorry, but check out the movie Yoga Hosers for a good pointless laugh. There you go. Thanks, brother.
Actually, I haven't seen that one. I've seen a lot of Kevin Smith movies, but
add it to the list.
Yeah, I'll have to.
So let's run through the list. Obviously, Watchmen, huge comic book, iconic, considered to be the greatest comic book ever written, right up there with Mouse, and an incredible challenge to adapt. I feel like Zack Snyder, other than the giant squid being left out for me, nailed it.
I think Watchmen, I feel like it's such an interesting property because I feel like it's so divisive for comic fans. I feel like Watchmen gets put up on people's like top 10 list of best comics, and a lot of them don't like it, but they put it up there because that's what they're.
I love Watchmen. I love the comic. I love the book. I love the movie.
Well,
I love the show.
I think that's why it's so divisive, because I do just think like you grow like people like, what are your top favorite comics? I think people put up Watchmen. So I think by lore, a lot of people will put it up there whether they like it or not or read it. And I think the movie, you start to see cracks in that. And then I think you start to see cracks of where people are like, I don't like this property, although I want to. And then as like the departure from the TV show, it's even more of a departure. Like I love that. And I just think it separates from like, I'm supposed to like this, but I don't like this. So now I don't like it. Long way to say, I really do enjoy Watchmen. And I think I think people hate on it more because it has Snyder's name to it. A little bit too much. And I thought the guy can shoot a movie.
Yes, he's an amazing cinematographer for a director.
Yeah, and it's a great story, and I think he follows like you said, besides taking out the squid. And I felt like he did that part because I feel a lot of people would go, wait, why is there a squid here?
Right. And
whether it's not a comic book fan or even just, I think comic fans would be like, wait, there's a giant squid in Watchmen? That didn't happen in the movie.
Yeah, and so like I also think it's almost an impossible comic book to adapt. Like I read it almost every year, and I think it's every time I've read it, I thought like, how do you make this incredible, odd, bizarre thing into a movie? And I think that you're not going to really find a better version for my money, a better adaptation of that. That material is so complicated, so many characters, so many things going on. That this, I think for a film, this is about as good as it's going to get. But that's just my feelings on it. Let's talk V, because I'm surprised at how many people dislike this adaptation in the chat. I mean, I think Big Will has just gone all caps on us. He's just lost it. Have you guys seriously read these? I think he meant to write read like the other read. Like, have you read these? They're right there in my cabinet. I love these. I'm a big fan of V for Vendetta. I think I honestly might even like the movie better than the comic. Sorry, Big Will.
So yes, I've read Watchmen more times than I've read V for Vendetta. I've only read V once. I need to revisit it for sure.
I mean, it just like Watchmen, incredibly dense, a ton of things in there, very challenging to make into just a 2-hour movie. And I feel like the emotional core of the comic is absolutely there. The look of the movie is spectacular. Mm-hmm. I think the top 2 actors, Hugo Weaving just doing voice work, and of course Natalie Portman as the lead, are phenomenal.
Yeah, and the chat's talking a lot of comic book movies that we talked about 2 weeks ago, gang. So you can watch them rewind. History of Violence and also 300. We
just saw that. Yeah,
we praised both of those. Yeah, I think Hugo does a great job, and Natalie Portman is a fantastic actress in my opinion as well. And I just love. I love how it's shot. I think it's almost like a future, you have that, what's that, Big Brother type of, government control. And I think it's supposed to be a very futuristic style from that mindset, but it's very simple and basic, which I think is,
I got Big Will pissed at me.
Man, he's been in all caps all night.
He's gone. He's gone. I've derailed Big Will.
And our next one are ones where we're talking about garbage DC movies.
It's going to get bad here in the final slide.
Real worse. It's going to go off.
As much as I like the V for Vendetta comic, I think it's unwieldy, just like Watchmen. It's a lot to manage, and I think they pared it down nicely here. But that's obviously my take and not his.
Yeah. But I have not actually read The Losers or read, and
that's me too. Yeah, I've never read those comics.
I did see that Losers is on the DC Infinite comic app, so I will read that here soon because I want to.
Now, explain to me the DC Infinite app, because I used to have the DC Universe app, but I know that they've gone and changed a ton of things, and I don't know where they are anymore.
So it's the same. It's the same type of thing that DC Universe was, just without the TV show. They've gone to literally it's just comics, and they've just expanded the library massively.
Okay.
So it's the same thing. And I've always thought their reading app was one of their best features. Like, I didn't get DC Universe really for the content because they didn't have a lot that I didn't already own. So I was getting it for the comics I wanted to read, and then their new shows that they were putting out. So I picked it back up because it's been helpful in prepping for shows for me that I just couldn't get from the library or things like that. And I do the monthly right now on that.
Gotcha. Let's see here. So TJ is saying Natalie Portman's gotten ripped and is looking amazing these days. Gore says Miracle Man and V are his favorite more works. I've reread them often. V for Vendetta, the film, failed to capture the sinister atmosphere of the comic as drawn by David Lloyd. There you go. And obviously, Big Will, definitely in agreement with you there. Is Shaft a DC comic? Because my dad said he was the first black superhero. Hey, I'm just talking about Shaft. Damn right, just talking about Shaft. There you go. I haven't heard of this movie, Carlito. I hope you post a video or something on it so I can learn.
Make sure you tag me in it so I know if you ever talk about Tenet.
V for Vendetta is a great comic. I don't think the movie captured the spirit of the comic. The comic was very centered on the 80s. Yeah, I mean, obviously they weren't going to set it in the 80s. They were not going to go retroactive on that and put it in the past. And I'm kind of glad they didn't. I think it has more impact if they don't. That's just me. Big Will says, I'm not saying anything is wrong, but I'm glad we're skipping D&D tomorrow night.
But he's calmed down a little bit. There's not the caps. So
only a couple I see 3 capital letters. So that's good.
So he's calming down a little bit there.
He's taking it. He's taking a breather. Let's move on to the final slide. What do you say?
I think we're ready because I think that's going to get the most chat involvement one way or the other.
And here we go.
And they've been a lively bunch already.
So here is an epic list of movies that we really shouldn't be talking about. I mean, these are movies that have way more miss than hit across the board. Are there moments that I enjoy? Sure, there's moments I might enjoy from one or two of them. But, man, somebody writing these scripts wasn't reading the comics, wasn't paying enough attention, wasn't putting in their best effort, and they were definitely rushed. So this is the dirty underbelly that really nobody likes to talk about.
I just hope Coach Vic is still here because I know he desperately wanted to talk about some.
Is this the Blacklist? Perry, Pryor, and O'Neill. None of these are canon. There you go. PJ says V was a great comic, but I don't think the movie I already read this, didn't I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
You did.
There we go. So let's start with this quick question I got for you, because I looked at this list when you made this slide and I was like, okay, I got to ask, if you only could watch one, if you had to watch one of these, what are you picking?
Oh, easiest, hands down. You know what I'm picking.
Oh, I know. Batman and Robin?
Done. Like,
there you go. Okay.
Because as much as many flaws as there are with Batman and Robin, I still love the property of Batman and Robin and of the characters that are in it. And I still saw it when I was like 10 or 12. I don't,
I
like,
love
so
that the chat is voting for this right now. Yeah, drop your comment.
I was gonna ask the exact same thing.
Which of these movies you got to watch one? Which one are you watching?
So I own 3, and I will actually watch.
You own 3? Wait, hold on, wait. You own 3 of these?
Yep.
Okay, obviously Batman, Robin. Let me see if I can guess the other 2.
You guess the other 2 that I own, and I will say one I don't watch often, but one I'll watch more than probably most people do.
Catwoman.
Okay.
Am I right?
No, you're wrong.
Crap. I thought for sure I had that one. Okay. And then obviously Batman, Robin, Catwoman. I would have picked right off the bat Jonah Hex.
Nope.
All right. What did you buy like a Superman box set and get stuck with 3 and 4?
Nope.
Although, what do you got?
Now that you say that, do I have that? I might. Also, Skip, thanks for hanging out. He's taking off, so
take it easy, my man.
Till next time. The 2 I own besides Batman, Robin are Green Lantern and Steel.
I would not have pegged Green Lantern at all, which would be my answer to the question. And it's only for this reason. I think it is an absolute train wreck of a movie, sadly. But it's the only time my guy has been given a movie. And I just kind of like to soak in it a little bit. And Mark Strong is perfect casting as Sinestro.
Yep.
So that's why I would pick that one above the Drek. Pull it out of the swamp things.
Green Lantern, I actually don't hate Green Lantern. I get it. It's not a great movie. There's flaws. Ryan Reynolds, I enjoy Ryan Reynolds even in a movie that he's not good in, or like he's entertaining for me from that aspect. And I wish they spent more time in space with the other lanterns, because I thought those were where it was, that aspect was better.
Right.
The Earth relationships weren't as great. I also like Sinestro.
Honestly, anybody who thinks Mark Strong is wrong in this role really needs to rewatch it, because I think he nails it. Considering what a horrible script he's working with, Mark Strong is the highlight. And yeah, it's hard to argue with the charisma of Christopher Reeve, even in these crap movies. Christopher Reeve shines.
Right. Oh yeah.
So it looks like I see a lot of Superman 3s. A lot of Superman 3 love going on here. Coach Vic giving me Shaquille O'Neal's stats in the MVPs.
And he can also rap, and he also has a Sega Genesis game called Shaq Fu. So
TJ says he liked Green Lantern. Hex wasn't bad. Catwoman, probably the worst superhero movie ever made. Batman has titties. There you go.
Time out, John. Did you watch the clip I sent you?
I did not. I'm sorry.
Gang, we'll just throw this out.
Should I just watch it while I'm live here?
Do it right now.
Okay.
Right now. So I sent John a clip. If anyone ever goes like, why is Catwoman a horrible movie? I sent John this clip. All you have to do to watch it is Google on YouTube or go on YouTube and search Catwoman basketball scene. I sent it to John, and I said,
"This scene."
I said, "What is the over/under of how long you?"
Benjamin Bratt watching her. Oh yeah, you can play, girl. Right? You can ball. Oh my god, she looks like she's never touched a basketball before in her life. Oh my god, this scene's so bad.
It looks like it's the corniest scene I've ever seen in my life, and it also is It looks like a 1990s music video was being shot here.
This might be Benjamin Bratt's greatest acting performance, because he's acting like she looks cool playing basketball, and that's not easy.
It's
oh my god, this scene.
You do. If you don't, Carlita, if you haven't, that says everything you need to say about why.
Now she's bumping and grinding with. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I got 1 minute and 1 second in. I got 1 minute 1 second in.
Gang, just do it. You're not going to be disappointed.
It's a 1 minute 44 second video, and I couldn't finish it. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, Supergirl. I mean, Helen Slater's, hot. She's awesome. Gore Vidal, I'm with you. Green Lantern. I can get my Steel autographed for you.
I have Coach Vic. I have a Steel action figure from the movie.
If I watch just that scene, does it count as me not watching the movie?
You're fine.
Big Will says he would pick Hex because he likes Josh Brolin, and Superman for Reeves. If they made Ryan Reynolds Kyle Rayner, I agree. I think he's bad casting. But they needed a big name, and he wanted a superhero movie, and to prove that he could do a superhero movie, it was just bad casting.
You're right. If they would have done a Green Lantern about the best Green Lantern there is, Kyle Rayner, that would have been great.
I got some Green Lantern. I would rewatch it because of Sinestro and because I like that universe, and I like it's the only time I've been able to see it on a big screen live action. So I will watch it with glee, and I'm looking forward to the TV series that's hopefully not too far off. She just said, I watched all the movies listed tonight in the theater. Supergirl was fun. Peter O'Toole. Hey, Peter O'Toole was on.
But Supergirl had a heck of a cast.
I'd have to look it up.
I'm blanking up.
Look it up. Way too long.
But Supergirl. I know Peter O'Toole, and then the female leads. They had some pretty
movie. Sorry, I got the stupid TV show instead. Cast for the Supergirl movie includes Faye Dunaway, Mia Farrow, Peter O'Toole, and Helen Slater. Hart Bachner, I don't know. Peter Cook, Mark McClure.
There was one other one I was thinking.
Brenda Vaccaro. Simon Ward.
Maybe not.
Matt Frewer. Always very entertaining. That's all I'm getting at. That's all I got for you.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Jonah Hex, I love Josh Brolin. And I think John Malkovich is in this one as well. I think he plays the bad guy, if memory serves me right.
Okay.
It just is a bad story. I'm also not familiar with Jonah Hex's story as much, so I don't know.
I think that's the only one I haven't watched from tonight is Jonah Hex. I've not seen it.
And it's on there. Steel is everything about a 90s movie that shouldn't work. And it doesn't work. But good golly, I still like it. Like it's easy fun. It's not good. I get it. But Shaq's just an entertaining person for me.
He is. He's got great charisma.
Anything he does, like his movies weren't great, but he seems like a person I want to go have a drink with sometime, and he seems like a fun person. And he knows the movies he's made were not good, but he's having fun with it. And I think that's what saves it for me on that. Like
totally.
He's like, I'm freaking Shaquille O'Neal and I'm playing a superhero movie called Steel.
It doesn't make any sense. Big Will says, I approve this stream except for a few minutes. I blacked out.
I also like how Skip could not leave us. He had to stick around, hang out to the end. He came back so he could.
He did? Where is he?
Back. He's up there talking about how he's gonna.
There he is. Steel. I'm gonna hang out to the. We're pretty much done. This is the last slide. I don't think we have anything after this.
Carlito, cheers, my friend. I'm glad I made you happy.
I'm almost done with my little margarita, and I clearly put way too much tequila in here because I'm feeling it now.
So this.
Is this the last slide?
Yep, this is the last slide.
So let me stop sharing here. Hey, look, we're big again.
But it was.
TJ says Catwoman is the only movie I ever asked for my money back, and I got it. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
It's bad.
It's not a good movie. It's not. It's horrible.
I like how you thought that though, just because it was a Batman universe movie.
I assumed. I was like, yeah, Batman. He's got it. Yeah. I'm shocked that you got a Green Lantern. That's awesome. I would never buy that movie. So,
if you haven't noticed this from being on a movie show with me or there's not a lot of movies that I hate when it comes to like comics or pop culture, because I'm the kid who's sitting there going, and the 35-year-old going, I'm sitting in a theater right now getting to watch a Star Wars movie. Like, is it great? All of them? No, but I get to watch Batman on the big screen or any of these. And are they always good? No, but I get so geeked out that I get to watch them on the big screen.
I respect that. Like, watching, as much as I dislike Batman versus Superman, watching him in the metal suit fight Superman takes me to the nerd kid that like read Batman Dark Knight Returns and was like, this is freaking cool. Does the movie live up to even half of Frank Miller's vision? No freaking way. But a couple of the sequences are like, that's freaking dope.
But and honestly, some of those movies are enough. Some of those moments are enough for like, am I devastated that I spent $8 to go see Batman in a metal suit fighting Superman? No, like I had a lot of fun still watching moments of that, and like to get to see them on the big screen, and you don't get those aspects. So I just appreciate, I get it. I will like a lot of movies that people don't love and they love to rip on, but
I agree, TJ. If they ever put Sinestro into the TV series, they better bring Mark Strong in, because I think he's just perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And that guy doesn't freaking age, and he looks like a bad guy and everything. And you put so much CGI and makeup on him, who cares, right?
Yep.
It's the actor. He's nailing it. Now, here's a trivia for you, Greg. I want to see how you can do here.
Okay.
Just to finish us off, we're at the end of the show. John owns 6 of the movies we talked about tonight.
Okay.
Chat, you're willing to play along to how many of the 6 movies that we talked about across the night can you name?
Okay.
Just think about it for a little bit. You don't have to rush if you don't want to. I don't want to rush you.
I'm going to go right off the bat. I'm saying Superman.
Certainly 100% fact.
Superman 2.
Fail. I do not.
Which as soon as I said that, I was like, you don't have the Donner cut, which would have been. But also, I'll put it as I said, Superman 2. V for Vendetta.
Definitely own that. Yep.
I'm going to say you have Watchmen as well.
I do own Watchmen. Yeah.
So I'm
you got
3
out of 4. Yeah.
So I get 2 more guesses. I'm going to say Dark Knight.
Dark Knight, absolutely.
And I'm trying to think of the slides. So I'm gonna say Batman Forever just because you said it's your favorite Batman one.
I do really love it, and
I don't think you have
it. I don't own it yet, but I've been able to watch it streaming pretty much nonstop. Does John have DVDs or laser discs?
I do try to look for when I go to Half Price Bookstore, I try to look for laser discs of Batman movies, just because I think it'd be fun to collect certain ones. But.
So sadly, because they exist on Blu-ray, that's the ones I got. I have Batman Begins, and I have Dark Knight Rises. I actually own Dark Knight Rises because I got it as a gift.
Okay.
So I wasn't going to look that gift horse in the mouth, even though I watched the first half and usually don't watch the second half. But yeah,
you don't want to play that game with me because I think I own every movie we talked about, except
until
for
the last 2 slides or whatever.
The last 2 slides. And
so let me go through them. Let me go through them real quick. Batman 89.
Yep.
Batman Returns.
Yep.
Batman Forever.
Yep.
Batman Burt Ward. What was that one?
Oh yeah.
Batman 66.
Yep.
Okay. Superman 1 and 2.
Yep.
Nolanverse.
Yep.
Superman Returns.
I actually still own that. I do.
No Constantine and no Swamp Thing.
Nope.
V for Vendetta.
I actually don't own it.
Okay. Watchmen.
Yes.
Losers.
No.
Red.
No.
And then we're on the we don't talk about these page.
And I own 3 of those. So
dang, doing well.
I mean, like when I got out of comics, I wasn't joking. My love was for movies, and I would be the guy who would go to Blockbuster, and when they had the buy 3 movies for $20. Like I would waste money. And I mean, I was known as like the blockbuster at college. People like, okay, you have this movie? I'm like, yeah, I do. I was Netflix before Netflix was there. Like I was the on-campus blockbuster.
That is mind-blowing information. DC and Marvel had Tarzan books, so Grayskull. I don't know where that would, or Greystoke, sorry. I don't know where Greystoke would fit into this whole thing. You should check it out, Coach Vic. I think you might enjoy it. I mean, great cast. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Zoe Saldana, Idris Elba.
Did we miss anything else? Because I didn't know Tarzan. They had Tarzan.
I think we did. I mean, I think this was pretty inclusive, I will say. I'd rather have root canal than watch Batman in the well scenes again. Ouch. That's harsh. But my wife's company does a drillless root canal that might make that somewhat enjoyable. It's sonic and water based. Ooh. So you don't have any infections and you don't drill. So, hey, root canal could be a lot more enjoyable than Batman in a well, learning to get his back fixed by a guy who just hangs him from the ceiling.
Yeah.
We've got to go. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. I put the link for Bearded Comic Bros channel down below. He's been dropping some amazing interviews with comic book creators. He's been teaching how to cook some crazy foods. And he's been doing his Friday Name That Character, which is the show that Charlie and I watch on the way home from work and school every single week. And Charlie's always leaving a comment because I'm driving. I think it's just a whole lot of fun. Anything huge coming up, Greg, you want to let people know about?
Yeah, well, because we have 13 people in the chat. You guys are going to get the exclusive. If you could move off to the side just a little bit there.
How about I do that?
No, I want you. Oh,
you want me? Okay,
if
sorry.
You can just move
nobody usually asks for that.
If you just move your seat to the side a little bit.
I
want you. I want your picture.
Oh,
if you can just move off to the side. So I got to sit down last week with Daryl Banks, who is the artist of those comic books right there that John's pointing to, the iconic 48, 49 Green Lantern. He also was the co-creator of Kyle Rayner, my favorite Green Lantern, being the artist on all those books. Parallax was first introduced in issue 50, which is a completely different take than you saw in the movie.
Right.
But we talk about how he integrates WWE stuff into his art style. We talk about getting to draw Green Lantern and create stuff.
Nice.
I'm not going to spoil this, John. He compares though, and so to a movie that we talked about a couple series ago, and you'll know instantly. He compared the inspiration for how he created Parallax and what the look of Parallax is off of a movie that we talked about on Drinks and Movies. And I don't think you will see it coming, but when you do, you'll go, holy buckets. That's fantastic. So you have to at least watch it so you can see when he talks about Parallax.
When does this drop?
So that'll drop on my channel Monday night, 6:00 with Daryl Banks. It was a fun interview for me.
That's awesome.
I'm geeking out the whole time.
I love it.
But so
Coach Vic, thanks for hanging with us, brother. I super appreciate that, man. Gore Vidal says this is always fun. Enjoyed the panel. Which, hey, this for me, this started as I really want to talk to Gore Vidal about movies. How do I do this? And it's just sort of evolved from there.
And then he asked me one time because I was in the chat with Gore and you, and I was like, sure, I'll come on.
Do it. And now look where we are.
So yeah, it is. It's just fun to get to sit here and talk movies with you all about stuff we like and dislike, and it's just fun. It's something we don't usually talk about comic books either. So comic book movies. This was the first one. These last 2 episodes. And
next show is in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The weekend that DC and HBO are dropping the Snyder Cut. It's going to be a shop of horrors for TJ, who is a somewhat fan of the Snyder films and knows how I feel about the Snyder films. I have been rewatching the Snyder films with my girls. We did Man of Steel. We're pretty much done with Batman versus Superman, although it's freaking 3 hours long on HBO. And then we're going to watch the original Justice League. They've seen both Wonder Woman films. So we're working our way. So in 2 weeks, we're talking Snyderverse movies.
Gang, there's going to be a lot of shows that weekend talking Snyder Cut. You want to be with us at 11 o'clock, though, because you guys have been with us since the get-go. And we're going to talk about everything in the Snyderverse and then do the Snyder Cut probably at the end there
Absolutely.
as we prep. But we're going to do a little bit of build-up for that. So hang in there with us.
We're going to run through the whole thing, talk the highs and the lows, let you know how bad every movie with Harley Quinn in it is, and then we will finish with Snyder Cut greatness.
And
which I'm
y'all
hoping
know,
is great.
y'all know there are going to be some hot takes because
Mostly,
I don't hate a lot of movies, and I like a lot of these movies.
yeah, we're going to have a lot of dissension in the ranks going. I can just tell you right now.
Yeah, this is one where we don't have to pick. We just get to say that we're talking about these movies.
Thanks so much, PJ, for coming by. And again, if you guys are not subscribed to Greg's channel, the link is in the description. You should totally do that. And click the notification bell because he's dropping a ton of content. So you should just be aware of all of it.
Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, typically. So, and gang, I'm finally doing my 500 subscriber giveaway. I'm literally sending a box full of comics of creators that I interviewed. So they're all number ones, or there's a trade of that Texas Blood. If you haven't, all you have to do is go find the link where I do 500 giveaway on my channel. Leave a comment of what your favorite creator interview I did was, or which one you want to watch. Like, just enter in so you can get a box of really cool comics. I'm going to close that up tomorrow night. So, and if I get to 515 before I do that, I'm going to throw in 2 more creator-owned comics to just make it even sweeter. So
nice.
So hop in on that,
awesome.
gang.
Yeah, that is awesome. Definitely worth it. Thanks so much, Skip, for hanging with us. Even though I knew you were trying to go to bed, I appreciate it, man. Bearded Comic Bro cut versus John's Comics with Kids cut. Who knows? I mean, it's a 4-hour movie, guys.
No,
I'm just going to be glad to be able to finish it before we go live on Saturday.
John's going to be like, hey, can you take the first half of this show? I got to catch the last hour still.
I'm still finishing, yeah.
I don't like these movies anyways. Just tell them like, oh, this Snyder movie sucked, and then I'll finish.
Exactly. Thanks everybody for coming by. I am completely off of YouTube tomorrow. I'm nowhere on YouTube tomorrow or Monday. I'm back on Tuesday. I'm doing Omni X-Men with Justin on his channel. I'm back on Wednesday on the Comic Core, hanging out with those guys, talking about the books of the week. And then I'm dropping my pull list video on Thursday, so I hope to see some of you there for that. I hope everybody had a great time. Leave us a comment, some of your favorite movies, and let us know what we should be ready for when we do the Snyderverse in 2 weeks. Have a great night, everybody, and thanks for hanging with us.